The American Revolution is often remembered as a war of muskets and militias, but it was equally a war of words. And one of the most powerful voices stoking colonial fury came from an unlikely source, a housewife whose plays set imaginations on fire years before the Declaration of Independence was ever written. As part of the New York Times' Visions of America project, marking the nation's 250th anniversary, 7 leading historians were asked to profile founding-era Americans whose stories have rarely been told. And one of those stories centers on a woman known as a Patriot housewife, a playwright whose work, written from the domestic sphere, helped push the American colonies toward revolution. In 1772, before Thomas Jefferson penned his soaring prose and before Thomas Paine's common sense galvanized a continent, a play arrived that set the colonial imagination alight. This was no small thing. Theater, pamphlets, and printed verse were the social media of the 18th century, the way ideas spread, the way loyalties were questioned, the way ordinary people began to imagine a world without British rule. Soaring calls for action made the fight for independence possible. And this Patriot housewife was among the earliest to issue them, not from a statesman's podium, but from the page. Her plays took aim at colonial grievances, mocked loyalists, and gave voice to a growing sense that something had to change. She was writing at a moment when a woman wielding political influence through literature was not just unusual, it was radical. What makes her story so striking is the gap between how she lived and what she produced. She was a housewife, a role that, in the 18th century, was defined by domesticity and deference. Yet she turned that position into a platform. The pen, it turned out, was available to anyone who could use it well, and she used it brilliantly. Historians have long credited the pamphlets and declarations of men like Jefferson and Paine as the intellectual kindling of the Revolution. But the fire was building before they arrived. Works like hers helped prepare the colonial mind, making the idea of independence not just conceivable, but urgent. This is the kind of history that the Visions of America project is trying to recover, the founding-era Americans who shaped their moment but were quietly written out of the story that followed. Revolution, it turns out, was not only the work of great men. It was also the work of a Patriot housewife with a quill and something urgent to say. That's your update for today. Thanks for listening.